About 9,000 years ago, something impossible happened to humanity. Not to everyone, just to men. Over the course of a few thousand years, entire male bloodlines began to vanish. Not gradually, not randomly. It was as if for every 15 to 20 women, only one man was left to pass on his DNA. What could cause such a precise and selective collapse? Disease couldn't. War alone doesn't fit. So what actually wiped them out? Before we continue, comment where you are watching from, like and subscribe. Let's begin. To understand this mystery, we have to start with something invisible, but incredibly powerful. Your DNA. Every human carries genetic material from both parents, but one small piece behaves very differently, the Y chromosome. It passes almost unchanged from father to son, acting like a biological surname that traces male ancestry across thousands of years. Because of this, scientists can reconstruct ancient family trees by comparing the Y chromosomes of men living today. If many different male lineages survived, the tree appears wide and diverse. But if most lines disappeared, the tree collapses inward. And that's exactly what researchers found. When they analyzed Y chromosomes across global populations, they discovered a dramatic and sudden drop in diversity around 9,000 years ago. Not a slow decline, a sharp collapse. It was as if countless male family lines had simply been erased from existence. But here, where it gets even stranger. When scientists looked at mitochondrial DNA, the genetic material passed from mothers, they found no such collapse. Female lineages remained stable, diverse, untouched. Whatever happened during this period didn't affect humanity equally. It targeted men. At first, scientists assumed this had to be a natural disaster, a plague, a famine, a climate collapse, something powerful enough to wipe out massive numbers of people. But there was a problem. Any event strong enough to reduce the population that dramatically should have affected men and women equally. Disease doesn't choose genders. Neither do volcanic eruptions or droughts. And yet, the genetic evidence showed something very different. Women survived in large numbers. Their lineages continued almost untouched. So researchers turned to another explanation. What if it wasn't about survival, but reproduction? One theory suggested extreme inequality, a world where a small number of dominant men fathered children with many women, while most men had none. This could reduce Y chromosome diversity over time. But again, the data didn't fit. That kind of system would create a slow, uneven decline, not the sudden, widespread collapse seen in the genetic record, which left scientists with a far more unsettling possibility. What if these men didn't just fail to reproduce? What if entire male bloodlines were being systematically erased? To test this idea, scientists went deeper, combining genetics with archaeology, anthropology, and computer modeling. They looked at what was happening around 9,000 years ago, and one pattern stood out immediately: the rise of agriculture. Small, mobile hunter-gatherer groups were transforming into large, settled communities. Land now mattered, ownership mattered, and with it came a new social structure: patrilineal clans. In these systems, identity, inheritance, and power were passed through the male line. Men stayed within their birth groups. Women moved between them through marriage. Over time, this created tightly bound male lineages, entire clans sharing nearly identical Y chromosomes. Then researchers introduced one more variable into their models: conflict. Simulations showed that when rival clans competed over land and resources, violence didn't just kill individuals, it wiped out entire groups. And because men were tied to their clans, when a clan was destroyed, its entire Y chromosome lineage vanished with it. Archaeological evidence supports this. Mass graves from this period show signs of organized, close-range killings, entire communities eliminated. Not scattered deaths. Total erasure. But here, where it gets even more disturbing. This wasn't a single event. It wasn't one war or one region. The genetic collapse appears across multiple populations over thousands of years, which means this wasn't an accident of history. It was a pattern. Now imagine a world made up of hundreds of these patrilineal clans, each one guarding land, resources, identity, each one made up of men who share the same bloodline and rivals who don't. Conflict in that world doesn't just mean defeat. It means extinction. When one clan destroys another, it doesn't just win territory, it erases an entire male lineage that may have existed for generations. And if this happens again and again and again, the effect compounds. But here's the twist that makes this even more unsettling. Women didn't disappear with them. Because women moved between groups, their DNA survived. Even if their original clan was wiped out, their lineage continued elsewhere. Men had no such escape. So over time, the world didn't just lose people. It lost entire branches of human history. So what really happened 9,000 years ago? It wasn't a disease, it wasn't a natural disaster, and it wasn't random. It was the collision of two forces, culture and violence. As agriculture spread, humans didn't just change how they lived, they changed how they organized power. Patrilineal clans created tightly bound male lineages, and when those clans went to war, the consequences were absolute. Defeat didn't mean surrender. It meant annihilation. Entire male bloodlines weren't fatting out over time, they were being erased in single, violent events, clan by clan, generation by generation, until only a fraction remained. Modern simulations confirm it. When you combine strict patrilineal systems with repeated intergroup conflict, Y chromosome diversity collapses exactly as the genetic record shows. But here's the part no one expected. This wasn't just history happening to us. It was us. Human decisions, human structures, human conflict. Not only shaping civilizations, but permanently rewriting the genetic legacy of our species. And here's the question that stays with you. If entire bloodlines could be erased back then, how much of our history is already gone forever? If you want more hidden stories like this, the ones history almost forgot, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the deeper we dig into the past, the more we realize how much of it was never meant to survive. Thanks for watching.